At midnight, most people are winding down. But on 11th of December, one simple Weibo post turned the entire night into a live event. The kind where you refresh your screen and watch history happen in real time. Because within minutes, the numbers didn't just rise, they surged. And suddenly, the biggest question wasn't, what did he post? It was, how can one midnight message pull millions of people into the same moment, all at once? At that hour, the world is quieter, attention is thinner, and most people are half present. That is precisely why a midnight post can feel like a flare in the dark. It cuts through the noise without needing to shout. What makes this moment compelling is not grand language, but restraint. A simple message of well-being paired with an image that looks considered rather than accidental reads like intentional care. It suggests the poster understands something basic about modern audiences. People are tired of constant performance, but they still crave a genuine point of connection. The reaction then becomes part of the story, almost like a public heartbeat. Numbers moving quickly are not just statistics. They function as evidence that millions of individuals chose to arrive at the same place at the same time. In the space of minutes, the post stops being a line of text and becomes an event. Viewers are no longer merely consuming, they are witnessing, participating, refreshing the page as if it were a live broadcast. That behavior creates emotional momentum because it feels collective. And because the content is warm rather than provocative, the energy it generates is distinctive. It does not invite outrage or division, it invites presence. People respond not simply to a celebrity, but to the sensation that they were there for something. In a digital culture built on constant scrolling, that feeling of shared arrival is rare, and it is why the opening of this story lands so sharply. The figures are impressive, but the deeper reason they matter is what they appear to settle. The question of whether quiet seasons weaken a star or strengthen them. Modern fame is often treated like a daily meter that must be topped up constantly. So when someone steps back, the narrative machine begins immediately. People speculate about decline, replacement, and whether the center of gravity has moved elsewhere. It is not always malicious, it is simply how the industry trains audiences to think. Today's attention becomes tomorrow's proof. That is why the surge around this post reads as more than popularity. It plays like a verdict. It implies that the audience did not disappear. It waited. There is a difference between silence and absence, and the reaction suggests many viewers understood that difference instinctively. In this framing, time away becomes not a loss, but a kind of accumulation, like a tide pulling back before it returns. The numbers are then interpreted as the return itself. This also creates a unique kind of tension that pulls in multiple groups at once. Supporters want confirmation of strength. Casual observers want to see whether the legend still holds. Critics want the opposite. A single moment becomes a public test, which is why it attracts attention beyond the core fan base. Crucially, the test is played out in real time, on a platform where everyone can see the result together. So the story behind the numbers is ultimately about belief. It asks whether long-term loyalty can still exist in an era of constant distraction. The reaction to this post, as presented, answers yes, and when it shows itself loudly. What makes the moment feel personal is that it mirrors a private experience many people carry, being underestimated while working quietly. Even viewers who have no investment in celebrity culture recognize the pattern. You focus, you build, you step away from the spotlight. And meanwhile, the outside world writes a different story about you. That emotional structure, misread, doubted, then proven, belongs to everyday life as much as it belongs to entertainment. Linking the post to a documentary milestone intensifies that feeling, because documentary work is read differently from glamour-driven appearances. It implies grit, patience, and real effort. The message becomes, results are not always produced where everyone can see them being made. That resonates with students, workers, parents, creators, anyone who has had to keep going without applause. When an audience sees that kind of labor rewarded, it feels strangely validating, even if the person being rewarded is famous. There is also a quiet tenderness in the choice of message. Wishing health and happiness is not a flex. It is an acknowledgement of human limits. It softens the distance between celebrity and viewer. In a landscape where many public figures communicate in slogans and marketing lines, simple well-being reads as sincerity. Sincerity invites projection. Viewers place their own hopes into the message, their own fatigue, their own need to feel seen. And then the communal reaction completes the emotional circuit. People do not just like the post. They feel they are adding a small vote to a larger statement. We noticed, we stayed, we are here. That is why this moment can feel intimate. It turns a public record into a private reassurance, proof that quiet effort can still be recognized. Midnight online culture is not simply about timing, it is about psychology. Late hours strip away certain social performances. People are more honest, more emotional, and more receptive. The day's obligations are over, the noise lowers, and attention becomes more concentrated. When a public figure posts at that exact moment, the audience receives it differently than they would at lunchtime. It feels less like promotion and more like a direct line. That is why midnight posting has gradually turned into ritual. For many fans, it is a form of companionship. They wait not only for content, but for confirmation that the person they admire is okay, still present, still moving forward. In group chats, people count down. They refresh together. They react together. It resembles a small digital gathering where everyone knows why they are there. The ritual itself becomes comforting, especially for those who experience loneliness at night. This is where the record becomes secondary to the mood. A post arriving on time feels like reliability. It gives the audience a sense of structure, a shared landmark in an otherwise disorganized stream of information. And, because the message centers on well-being, it fits the midnight emotional landscape. People are thinking about health, fatigue, tomorrow, and whether they are doing enough with their lives. A simple line wishing happiness can land like a soft hand on the shoulder. The midnight effect also amplifies the spectacle of engagement. When numbers rise rapidly at an hour associated with quietness, the contrast is dramatic. It looks like a city lighting up when it should be asleep. That visual contradiction is inherently shareable, which is why it travels beyond the initial audience. Ultimately, midnight culture is about shared vulnerability. This moment works because it meets people where they truly are, tired, reflective, and ready for something that feels real. In short, the moment sticks because it combines scale with softness, a massive reaction to a simple message, proving that authenticity, when timed well, can still move crowds. If you enjoyed this kind of storytelling, where we break down the moment, the meaning, and the emotion behind the headlines, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching and for supporting content that stays positive, respectful, and thoughtfully told. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next update, and I'll see you in the next video.